Be it fun.
Hello.
Hi there, guys. I'll do that. That should be easier for everybody. Sorry, I'm still doing all the administration stuff. Fun
And it
times.
is the morning after the pub crawl, which, of course, leaves an effect on everybody.
I woke up this morning and it was pretty bad, but we're here. We have CCP Fozzie here coming at us with a great interview today. Got a couple of questions, so I guess we'll start off with what do you do at CCP?
Yeah, so I'm one of the senior game designers on the EVE team. I'm working with a team called Helios internally, and we're the team that does a lot of the Living Universe, FW-related Empires at War work. So for the upcoming expansion, Havoc, we're primarily working on the Pirate Insurgencies, which were revealed at the keynote.
Nice. So you work with a lot of the event stuff, right?
I do, yeah. So some of the event stuff that I worked with last year that you may have seen me post a lot about, some of that's been shifted to other teams actually over the last year.
Gotcha.
So things like the recurring events like the Crimson Harvest, which is coming back this year, but that's being run by a different team now.
Gotcha.
It's in good hands.
So that was one of our community questions, actually, because the community has been kind of wondering where are the reoccurring events, because we haven't had those.
I can talk a bit about that. So at the beginning of this year, CCP decided to shift around resources a little bit. And as part of that, the team that I had been on was kind of shifted into a couple of different teams. So some of us moved over to Team Helios, which is the team that I'm on now, and some moved over to another team that is working on, amongst other things, the recurring live events.
Gotcha.
And so as part of that, they decided to, at least for this year, reduce the number of them. Definitely, there's hope that the ones that didn't happen this year might return in future years, but they are bringing back the biggest ones. So the Crimson Harvest is going to be coming back next month, and the Winter Nexus is also going to be coming back this year. So for folks looking forward to those will be coming back in very similar form to what you've seen them before, and because people give us really good feedback on them, generally they're really well received, so we're keeping those in mostly the same state. What I have been working on events-wise this year is some of the more storyline advancing events. So the Shadow War, which was focused on the technology around shipcasters for the Empires, I worked on that at the beginning of the year. And then the Project Epiphany, which was that puzzle competition for players to find the Jovian Stargates that opened up at the keynote. I was working on that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. The community, I think, has been really receptive to the puzzles and kind of like... this whole Fog of War mysterious expansion reveal. I think the community has really, really enjoyed it. Yeah,
we were really impressed by both how quickly people solved it. We knew it was whenever we put a puzzle in front of the community, they're going to solve it really quickly. But this exceeded even our expectations. One thing that actually surprised me in a very pleasant way, because we had announced there was going to be prizes for finding each of the gates. There's going to be a big reward for the people that send in the locations to the NPC characters first. We kind of, or at least I kind of expected that most of the research would be done internally within groups, right? That people would be like collecting the clues and hoarding it just among their friends instead of sharing it publicly because they want to race to the end. And I also kind of expected that one group would probably find all four of them first. But in practice, what actually happened was people kind of combined. They kept some stuff to themselves, but also shared a lot of information with the community. The ARC Discord was a really huge hub for that. And we ended up with different groups finding a lot of them. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it was really good. Events like that really, I think, make things come together in a really good way.
Yeah.
Some of our fun questions that we had for you today. What is your favorite ship in the game?
So my favorite ship is the Sleipnir. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's just a really fun ship overall. I love Mimitar in general. Speed and like fall off flexibility is something that I've always really enjoyed. I kind of grew up in my early years doing a lot of PvP with ruptures back when a solo 1600 plated rupture was a great low sec ship. And the Sleipnir is a great example of that. It also has a very significant nostalgic memory for me, is that's the ship that I was flying when I flew in an Alliance tournament final and won. And so that's such a great memory for me that has really boosted that ship in my
that's awesome.
In my heart.
Yeah, especially with it being in the AT was interesting this year, I will say. When you have played amongst the players, what is probably your most embarrassing ship loss?
Oh, there's a bunch of possibilities for that. I've had plenty of cases of like wrong, like undersized prop mods, like fitting a frigate prop mod on my like Munin. Yeah, I've done that before. I've lost a carrier that didn't jump out in time after a Slowcat fleet way back in the day. So that was a pretty embarrassing loss. There's been a bunch of them, but for the most part, you kind of just bounce back and keep going because it happens to everybody.
Right. Yeah. It does. Mm-hmm. It does. As Mark will probably watch this and then laugh at me earlier for not flying our EU Leshak the correct way. But let's talk about some of the new expansion stuff.
Yeah.
It seems really awesome. I think this year's keynote actually blew out of the water previous years.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Right. That's what I took away from yesterday. One of the things that we wanted to ask you guys was a little more information about anything you can tell us about what we will see post Fanfest. Because a lot of we were told by a lot of people actually that you guys are waiting until excuse me. You guys are waiting until after Fanfest to continue the whole deathless storyline plot thing, so that everyone can get a chance, which is great, by the way. But is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, so I won't be able to give too many details because some stuff is going to be revealed in game as it comes. But what I can say is that at the moment in Zarzak, this new deathless system, there's really nothing to interact with other than other players, which people have been shooting each other a lot there. There's been a lot of kills in the system, so that part's been great. But we're going to be adding a way for you to choose to help the Deathless with their research into this new station. Because the Deathless, they have taken control of part of this station, but it's a gigantic station, and they don't have full understanding of the technology yet. They don't have full control of the entire station yet. That's going to be something that advances mostly over time, but they're asking Capsuleer help to assist with that research. And the rewards they're willing to give people is going to be early access to the pirate destroyers. So there's going to be an event starting once people get home from Fanfest, where you'll be able to do some things related to Jovian research and technology, bring it to the Deathless, and in exchange, they'll give people the first access to these blueprints for the 2 pirate destroyers that you can see in the ship tree on TQ right now. That'll be the first place where you can get those ships. And then when the expansion comes out on November 14th, those ships will be added to the Pirate Insurgency LP stores. So after the expansion, the way to get those ships is going to be the Pirate Insurgency content. And just like if you think about the way that for the Empires, we have the normal Empire LP stores and we have the Empire FW LP stores, which has a lot of the same stuff, but also some stuff is cheaper and there's some extra stuff. The Insurgency LP stores for the Pirates is going to be just like that. And some of the stuff that will be exclusive in the immediate time after the expansion to those stores is going to be the destroyers and battlecruisers.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So we did have a bit of a, I don't want to say concern because it's not the right word, but we were having a discussion last night before the pub crawl, a lot of us that were here and with a lot of people at home over Discord. So during the keynote, it was stated that it would require plus 10 standings with the Deathless to dock in that station. And is it really going to be that difficult? Because
it will not. So yeah. So it was said. The person who said that was me, and I may have said it in a way that wasn't very clear. What I meant to communicate is that at the moment, the only way to dock is plus 10 standings. In practice, that's because we're not ready to show you the inside of the station yet. And so that's how we're stopping people from docking.
Gotcha. Okay, so we were
when the expansion comes out, there will be other ways to dock that don't require getting plus 10 standings, because plus 10 standings is obviously an insane level. Yeah, that is so what I said on the stream was it requires plus 10 standings right now, but it won't in the future. But I was not clear enough with that. Yeah. In practice, it's a station that at the moment, if as a dev I hop into the station, it just looks like a normal station, which is not what we want it to look like. It's going to look special, but only
when you guys are finished.
It's not ready for the special inside yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because we're talking about it, and we're like, man, it is hard enough to grind Triglavian standings already.
Yeah, we wouldn't require you to get plus 10 with a new faction for that. That would be a bit much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what's really interesting is these safe zones.
Yes,
It really changes because I'm assuming I am assuming here that we're not going to be able to put citadels down. And
no, there won't be any deployment of structures in there. It's going to be a space that has some pretty unique constraints to it. There's no structures, and there's also no capitals. So one thing I saw players speculate about before the gates opened was, hey, I wonder how much it would cost with the mass stacks to bring in capitals. If players have tried that now, what they've probably already discovered is that there's actually a limiting factor where the largest ships that can get through that gate are the Orca. There's no freighters and there's no capitals that can go through those gates right now.
Oh wow, yeah, that's I like that we're doing this whole capitals are for nullsec thing and not bringing them into
and for lowsec, but yes, in this particular system, it's a no
capital thing. Yeah. So, what kind of stuff, if you're able to tell us, what kind of stuff is there going to be able to do in that system?
So you'll be able to interact with the Pirate Insurgencies feature at launch. The station will become dockable. I don't want to give too much away to preempt the presentation that's going to be at 12:30 and the panel that we're doing at 2 o'clock. So we're going to be talking more about all this there. But what I can say is that you'll be able to dock in the station. The station will give you access to these special Pirate LP stores. So you'll be able to get the Insurgency LP stores there. And you'll be able to use a shipcaster to hop right into the Insurgencies. So we already mentioned in the keynote, the Pirate Insurgencies will have at their center a kind of small-scale station that the Pirates set up that all their aligned players can dock with. So the only way to dock with that station will be to be aligned with that Pirate faction. And that station will exist for the lifetime of this Insurgency. And you'll be able to hop right from Zarzak to that station in lowsec using that shipcaster.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think it's really unique that getting to this one system has all these lowsecs. People have already been making memes about all of the null groups that are right next door to these lowsec systems that are like, don't worry, you can use it, you can get through the hell camp. You know, so is there any plans to deal with that if that's what the players do in the sandbox?
If with like players camping it, or
with heavy camps, that's what some of the player groups are talking about out there.
It is completely within players' power to heavily camp it if they want to. Yeah, there's some things that maybe make camping a little bit more difficult. At the moment, the bubbles are not usable inside of Zarzak. Obviously, you can bubble the nullsec entrances outside, but you can't bubble the lowsec ones. Yes. So that at least allows some passes. The gates are also pretty large, so you have to have more than one ship often to cover the entire radius.
Really, I haven't.
They're like big regional gates.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to see it in game for myself yet, but.
And there will be, and we'll talk a bit more about this in the presentation in the panel, but there's going to be turrets that act a little bit like low-sec gate guns that they won't stop people from camping, just like most gate guns don't, but they will provide at least an element that allows gives you some help if you want to fight against whoever's camping.
Gotcha. So for time's sake, we want to move on to the FPS.
Yeah, okay. So I'll warn you, I mean, I can talk a little bit about it, but I'm not an expert on it.
Gotcha.
I'm not personally working on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of kind of the questions people have had that we've gotten a lot is people are curious if it's an actual separate game. The keynote made it very obvious that it is tied into the game.
Yep.
But a lot of people are confused as to, am I going to be able to download this on my Steam Deck and play that?
So,
or is it like physically inside of like a sub process of the game?
It is, so philosophically, like the approach that CCP has decided to take with it is to treat it like it's a part of the game for our design decisions. But I believe it'll probably be its own executable.
It'll be its
like
own,
another,
it's another thing.
Okay. I'm not necessarily, so I can't 100% say that for sure, but I think so. There's other people who are working on that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's in a different engine because it's in
UE5.
Unreal, yep. I expect it'll be a different executable to launch it, but it's like another avenue into TQ.
Yeah. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We played some internal playtests, and I've enjoyed those. I'm not a great FPS player. It's not really my area of mastery in gaming, but it's still fun to explore and get murdered by all the London folks.
Fair enough. A lot of people were getting a very big Destiny 2 Escape from Tarkov type of vibe with it. And I was wondering, is that kind of the vibe you guys were initially going for?
I can see why. As for whether it's what we're going for, I think that's a question you're going to have to talk to the people working right on the project for. That's
fair enough. Don't worry, I'll move on from this.
No
I know
problem.
You probably don't know too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know some stuff, but if you want to ask like about the what they're really going for with design, then chatting with those folks.
Yeah, I'll make sure to find those folks because our community's got questions.
And there is, by the way, a panel for I don't think the panel's going to be streamed, but for people who are at Fanfest, there's a Vanguard panel that'll be happening. I want to say 3 o'clock.
Yes, I think it's around 3.
So, and I'm sure that for people that are here, that they'll be like telling all you folks at home what gets talked about there too.
Absolutely, we'll be taking another walk around Fanfest at some point today and showing everybody the shops and everything. I was this close because we actually have a meme that I'm gonna get a Fat B tattoo somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So we were thinking about going down to the tattoo shop and maybe getting that done. But I think it was a really great time talking to you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you too.
We do have one final question for you. So you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But we were wondering, after so many years and after learning and growing as yourself and throughout CCP, is there anything you would like go back and change about Aegis-Sov?
Okay. Yes. So, I mean, the short answer is yes, and there's a number of things. With a project like that, it's always a very challenging design problem to build a system where the player incentives are often skewed towards, rightfully so, towards pushing your enemy out through boredom, right? When it comes to like one thing I can mention, one big one was we made it a goal early on in Aegis-Sov to try to have the fighting over the nodes be as open-ended as possible, to have our design do as little to limit what types of ships people use and what types of tactics people use as possible. In practice, I think that was a mistake to emphasize that so heavily in our design. And then we saw that play out in the changes we then made to it over time, right? We put more restrictions on the Intosis module. We made it more limited what types of ships you can effectively use and what tactics you can use, and in practice that made it better. We leaned too hard towards trying to keep things open-ended. I think we should have taken more of the lessons from some other systems like FW, where you have lots of places in the space where you can fly with whatever you want and fight with whatever you want, but it's okay for some systems to put extra restrictions on what types of ships and what types of tactics work in order to make a different experience that can be more enjoyable in that moment. Right? Like in the same way that the FW complexes limit things, putting more restrictions on the Intosis module, which is what we eventually ended up doing, would have been better from the start.
Cool. And I'm not sure if you are able to comment on this little follow-up here, but a lot of people are very much leaning towards hoping that faction warfare as it is today can get molded into a new sovereignty system.
I think there's definitely some interest in at least taking elements. It wouldn't be like a one-to-one same thing, obviously.
Absolutely.
But yes, there's definitely some interest within the studio long-term in taking some of the things that are working well in FW and finding ways to try to make them work well in SOV too.
That's awesome.
As for timelines or things like that, there's nothing I can commit to. That's something that would be more of a long-term thing. But yeah, it's definitely something we're interested in.
That's something someone mentioned at lunch and then never really got into the meeting.
Yeah,
but
we mentioned that briefly. If you were paying close attention to the keynote, there was a mention. And again, not in a promise like here's what we're doing soon way, but like this is the long-term vision, hopefully.
I think the running meme so far from the keynote is Logi on kill mails.
So my understanding is that the thing that's actually coming in is Logi on corp projects, which isn't quite the same as Logi on kill mail. But yeah, sometimes communication, it can be a bit it can be easy to conflate those two. Logi on kill mail is something I would really like to have at some point, and hopefully we can get it into the game. We actually, some folks will know this already, but we actually implemented Logi, a kill mail system that allowed us to put Logi on kill mails. And we showed it off at Fanfest like 5 years ago, and we even tried it out in the game temporarily. The problem was it caused too much load in fleet fights.
Yeah.
So we had to pull that back. And so taking another shot at it at some point would be something I'd be really excited for.
Yeah. I mean, look, we got an Angel Titan now after
years. Never give up hope.
Never, no, not believing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it was very nice meeting you, Fozzie.
It was great talking to you.
And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks.
Drink some more coffee. And I will see you during some of the panels. I will see you guys at some of the panels. We'll be walking through FanFest probably today. Today's probably going to be our big streaming day. We've been meaning to, but there's been so much going on. It's hard to pull out the camera sometimes. But we will see you guys later today, 3 p.m. We also have an interview with CCP Convict, which is going to be a blast.
That'll be great.
And we hope you guys enjoy this. I know we cannot see the chat because mobile streaming is mobile. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll definitely look at stuff in the VOD later, and maybe if something stands out to me, I'll start something later. But have a wonderful morning, everybody. From those of us here at FanFest, take some Advil. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.